Good evening.
They're hearing everything.
Yeah.
The sewer here.
Moderator?
Yes.
No privacy here. Big brother.
No, the
Big
only
brother
thing
is that.
is that I think German is a very important language to learn. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so welcome everyone. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm very excited because our guest tonight, I'm following his work for quite a while, and I'm blown with his honesty, and is actually a courageous man. And it's not a simple thing to do in our times, to say simply the truth as it is. And therefore, when I had the opportunity to have our guest tonight, I said, yes, none, doesn't matter what. Even if it's going out of my pocket, I will make it happen. Really. So I'm happy he did. And for those of you that do not know me, my name is Shimon Kutnovsky-Liak. I'm the rabbi, the new rabbi of the Jüdische Gemeinde Hannover. And beside the fact I'm a rabbi, academically I was studying international relations as well as religions. So in that sense, if it's to study the Quran, if it's to study the Bible, the Christian Bible, and so on. And today, for Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, Europe and the Middle East, shared values, and their roles in shaping interfaith understanding, I'm honored to have Loay Alshareef, which is a world-class speaker and one of the foremost Arab Muslim activists pro-Jewish and pro-peace with Israel, advocating the Abrahamic Accords. And Loay had a very special life bio, which I recommend you all to read and to get to know if you don't know it already. And also, Loay have an amazing academic background and help him with what he does. So, welcome. I'm so happy to have you there.
Thank you, sir. I wish I could speak German. I won't, fortunately. But I know Guten Tag, good afternoon. Some say good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Asking me, I was German on the phone.
It's very important to speak German. It's very important to learn German. But first of all, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you took your time to come, and I hope that this conversation will be fruitful and will open lots of eyes to many things that are happening in the Middle East.
So, Loay, me personally, I do know your bio, and some of our guests for sure also know it, because people came from other cities to see you tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I see friends from Hamburg and other cities. So, in that sense, can you share with us something about you that others do not know, or people who know your bio, know your work, would not know about you?
So I'm gonna share things that people know, and then I'm gonna share something that people maybe do not know. I think most of you know that I was raised in a way that is very anti-Jewish and anti-Israel in Saudi Arabia. Born and raised in Saudi Arabia to a mixed family. I'm half Egyptian, half Saudi. I don't know, I'm a proud dual citizen. And the thing is that all my life I lived in Saudi Arabia, and the schools that I went to was a very religious school, very religious school. So I maybe for you who don't know, I'm a hafiz. Hafiz means someone who memorized the whole Quran, which is
It's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work. And I'm good with languages because I memorize a lot. And I memorize so quick, so I pick up things so quick. I memorized the Quran in 90 notes.
That's fast.
That's fast. Yes.
That's very fast.
Because I could and I have a certificate from my school in late 90s that I memorized the Quran. I will share it inshallah very soon in my website. It was my private website, and also in my upcoming book inshallah. One of the things that many people don't know that I'm gonna release a book soon details about.
I'm already ordering.
Thank you. I will have your copy with my signature.
Thank you.
I will put in the book so many things that people do not know about my journey. For example, the full experience that I had in France, the email that I wrote to the school asking them, how dare you put me with a Jewish family? Some of my child memories in Saudi Arabia. But I want to give you hope that people change. The most important thing that I want you to know is that people change. Many people in Germany who chant against Israel and against Jews, I want you to remember one thing. Loay was one of them. Loay was like them. One day. And I was speaking last night in the University of Munster.
Yeah.
And some students came with kofia. And
If you don't know, it's what they use this kind of cloak with the lines.
yes, black and white. And they they sent me messages afterwards. I said, they're very disappointed that someone like you should know the truth. I said, well, I was like you. And I didn't feel offended when some of them left the session afterwards. But the fact that they sent me the message meant that it hit them hard with facts.
They cared enough to write.
They cared enough to write. So I wanted to say that I want you to believe that there is hope. There are people who hate, but eventually, when their eyes are open, if they are so sincere, they will find the truth. And with all due respect to all causes in this world, the cause of Israel is a just cause. The cause of the Jewish people is a just cause. It's not a colonial expansions ideology. It's a very simple story about an ancient people with their ancient ancestral homeland. Very simple. They are not expansions. They don't want to colonize. But the only thing about Jews is that they were always a successful minority. Always a successful minority. You know, there are Jews in the Gulf in a country called Bahrain.
Yeah.
Very small.
We have a community, we like a Bukharian community here in Haifa.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the community in Bahrain, very small, but they are so successful in jewelry. Very successful in jewelry. And I believe that, I don't want to say the mistake of the Jews, but it's really the Jews are, because of being a very successful minority, they suffered a lot throughout history. So, the thing that I want people to know is that there is hope. I want to give you hope tonight, inshallah.
Thank you so much. I want to ask, I know that you know Hebrew already, and this actually was a question for my wife. As you go and study in the Scarborough Court more, what was like profound moment? So, what was maybe a profound moment for you as you studied, as you did that change? The touchdown deep inside and change your perspectives about those questions.
I don't want to send my books too soon before it comes out, but there is a whole chapter about this, and I'm going to answer this question. What really touched my heart is that many Muslims are disconnected from reality. You know why? Because as Muslims we say, we love, we honor, we revere, we name our children after the prophets of Israel, the kings of Israel, the heroes of Israel. Okay, good. This is great. Okay. What is the story of these prophets? What was their beliefs? I wrote something in the book. I said, if an ordinary Muslim, I'm sorry, it's a joke. If an ordinary Muslim reads so well the belief system of the Jewish prophets, he would realize that they were right-wing Likudis. Is right-wing, not only right-wing.
Yes.
Muslims, and I'm a Muslim, of course, but as a very extremist religious Muslim, I would tell you all the prophets are Muslims. Noah was Muslim. Jesus was Muslim. Isaiah was Muslim. Name it. David was Muslim. What did David say? Ask an ordinary Muslim. They don't know. And this is why, if you notice my Instagram, in my social media, I always conquer Muslims by showing them things that they don't know about these historical figures. Believe me, it touches their heart. Because they know deep down that it doesn't make any sense to say that they were Muslims, but they're haters. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to talk about David and claim that he was a Muslim. And then you realize that he was the third, according to the Talmud, the third king of Israel. But I don't believe in Israel, then I'm sorry to say this, you're named after the key to Israel. Yunus is a very popular name in Egypt and in many Arab countries. Yunus, you know what that name comes from? Yunus.
Yola.
Yola. It's in Greek, Eonas. And in Hebrew, it's Yona. It doesn't have a meaning in Arabic. Yunus, no meaning. But in Hebrew, it's stove. Yona.
Yes.
Stoved. Ask a Muslim, what does Yunus mean? I don't know, but it's a prophet and I believe in him. You know that he was a true Zionist. Yonah was a true Zionist. You know why? Because when God asked him to go to Nineveh, you know what he said? How did you send me to the enemies of Israel? You send me to Assyria. By the way, one of my favorite books is the book of Yonah, because it shows that the God of Israel is also the God of all nations, that he wants all of our salvation. But he was hesitant to go. He tried to flee to a city called Tarshish, or a country called Tarshish, which is modern-day Spain. How many Muslims are named after this figure? And they are disconnected from the reality that he was a true Israelite. The point when I realized my heroes as a religious Muslim, the prophets, were very Likudis in that sense, were very attached to their land, were very attached to the idea of Israel. And I learned this with a Jewish family in Paris. The idea, when I realized that Judaism and Zionism cannot be disconnected. You can never talking about educated people who search, who read, or who are very intellectual. So this idea of this land, how the Jews are connected to it, and the prophets that we, millions of us, are named after, this what was like the wow. I didn't know that for example, Zion, ask a Muslim, what is Zion? Where is Zion? They will never know. You know what a Muslim, if you ask it in Arabic in my social media, what is Zion? Who is a Zionist? A person who kills children.
No.
I tell you more than that. Here, I'm taking a taxi, so many times the drivers are Arabs from Syria, from other places. I talk with them.
Be careful, please.
I am careful. So, but for example, recently, so he said, I have no problem with Jews, just with Zionists.
That's the biggest fat lie, yes. Ask someone who uses this, like, of course. That's the big lie. And I want to say one thing. You know who was the first one who was called a Zionist as a slur? David. In Psalm 129, مزمور معازم بالشيطان 129 للتسعة. David, in this psalm, I want you please, if you're opening your Google, just write Psalm مزمور 129. David was complaining about the Jebusites, the enemies of Israel. You know that the Jebusites, I have small paper that I claim that the Jebusites were the first ones to use the word Zionist or a lover of Zion as a slur. And David, when he wrote this psalm, he said, many a times have they afflicted me from my youth. Let Israel now say, many a times have they afflicted me from my youth, yet they have not prevailed against me. Let all those who hate Zion be put to shame and turn back. A Muslim I love David, my name is Dawood. I hate Zion. Doesn't make sense. The same applies to a Muslim who is named after our heroes, the prophets. So in Islam, unfortunately, I say it's a Muslim, many religious leaders in Islam, they created a big disconnection that fools everyone with ignorance because of the political situation in the Middle East. When I realized this truth, without being biased, I said, hold on, the Israelis have a just cause. Why are you focusing on this part of the land that is theirs and that it's very ancestral to them? So that was like the thing that really sparked me. I wish your wife was listening to my answer. She's not listening.
We have a recording.
So that was the part where I was like, very, wow. This is because, as I told you, I was a very religious Muslim, so that made...
You are still a very religious Muslim.
No, not very. Not very. Not Mishuga, but you know.
Yeah.
I eat the Mishuga, but Mishuga. So that was the and I believe religion could play a big part in the solution, not the problem. And you cannot solve the Middle East problem and exclude religion. You cannot. We are Middle Easterns. We are religious by nature.
I think it's a problem that we see religion as it shows in Europe, because to say a Jew or even a Muslim, you are religious or not religious, we cannot differ between the person and the religion. It's part of us.
Yes.
In that sense, Judaism is not a religion, because even if I would do nothing with my practice, I'm still a Jew.
Yes.
A Muslim that also do not practice is still a Muslim.
Yes.
And in that sense, with what happened in Europe for the past 250 years, it's a little bit to make it more difficult. As people from Europe or the States would say, oh, it's so easy to solve. It's so easy to put it aside. It's not. As you said, we need to have the religious inside of it.
I agree. And I think that it's knowledge is very important. You know, when I started to make my videos, even before October 7, when I started to make my videos about justifying to the world, to the Arab world, yes, I do speak in English because I want to reach wider audience. But if you notice, all my videos have Arabic subtitles. Always have Arabic subtitles. And I speak, of course, Arabic is my native language. But I'm just saying that when I speak about historical topics, I thought that they are very boring videos. But Baruch Hashem, they get millions of views. I couldn't believe it. And I believe because people find it relative. And I made a video like 2 days ago, got like 200,000 views about a very historical topic. A story that happened with a Jordanian friend of mine who told me, you keep talking about...
Oh, sorry. Yes. Please.
You keep talking about Israel, Kingdom of Israel, and all what you're saying is Bible. Habibi, I don't believe in Bible. There was nothing called Kingdom of Israel. I said, okay, let's go to Amman, Jordan Museum in Amman. Jordan Museum in Amman, the moment you enter the museum, you'll find a stela. You know what a stela is? Mm-hmm. It's like a big rock with inscription on it. This is a stela. This is where ancients were writing. They didn't have papyrus or paper, or they didn't write on the skins of animals. They used rocks. Yes. So that stela was written by a king called Mesha. And he was living in modern-day Jordan. He was a king of the Moabites. And he was bragging about his victories over other nations surrounding him. And in one of the lines of that stela, he was saying, Umri, the king of Israel, oppressed my people Moab, because Chemosh was a god of the Moabites. I love mythology so much. So he was a god of the Moabites, and he thought that it was a curse from God that Omri, the king of Israel, defeated the Moabites. And my friend told me, hold on, your friends? My friend saying you, your friends lost. I said, that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is not they lost. The point is they existed, they were sovereign, there was a kingdom called Israel, and by the way, it's because of the Meshach Stela, we can verify that the king named Umri in the Tanakh was an actual king.
Yes.
And that David existed because of Taldan, also Taldan Stela. So it's very important to bring archaeology with history, especially in the Muslim world, because the cause of Israel, you know why? I'll tell you why. Because the biggest lie in the Muslim world that prevents many Muslims and many Arabs to learn with Israel is that they still believe that Israel is a colonialist white project that came from Europe. Well, Jews, what do Jews have to do with this land? Where does the word Jew come from, by the way? The word Jew comes from where? It comes from Judea. And where does Judea come from? By the way, why was it called Judea? Because when that land was partitioned by Joshua, that portion of the land was named after the fourth son of Jacob. And they were never called Jews. Your ancestors were never called Jews before 586 BC.
I've actually, last week, my lesson, I have weekly lessons here. So in Russian, because we have many Russian speakers in the community. So in Russian, you say there is Yevrei, Hebrew,
Yes.
and you have Yudei, a Jew. So you ask the Russian speaker what is what. They don't really know. They say, oh, this is the religion, this is the
Yes.
native people, and so on and so forth. No, the first Hebrew is Abraham. Abraham wasn't a Jew, right?
Yes, I always say this, by the way.
And so,
It was a heap.
exactly, right, and also his sons. And after that, even after Jacob, it was the sons of Jacob, or the sons of Israel. It became the nation of Israel, and the idea of being a Jew is much later on.
It is 586. When the Babylonians asked the Hebrews, where do you come from? He said, we come from Yehuda. We are Yehudi. Speaking of Jonah, Yunus, you know, when he was put on the ship, they asked him, who are you? Where are you from? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? You know what he said? Ifri Anochi. Ifri Anochi. Just I'm only a Hebrew. So they were called the Jews after 586. So it's very important to understand history. And 586, there was no Rome, there was no Islam. They were called Jews. So this is why I fight misinformation on social media with this kind of knowledge, because one day I was repeating, you see all the lies that those who are against Israel, repeating in Germany, in America, in Canada. I used to say all the same old lies. I never heard a lie today. I said, oh my God, I never heard this. This is new. Never. Ran them up. All of them.
What's the toughest question that you guys?
We were just talking about it. Just before we came here. Why some Jews are against Israel. And we were talking, we had like a 10-minute talk about this. And I explained to people that with all due respect to the non-Zionist Jews, like the Notori Karta, I still call them Zionists in the waiting. They are just waiting to be Zionists, because I met some of them in Canada. They were nice to me, but they said, no, you have to believe that we only should return to Israel when Mashiach comes. I said, okay, so you are Zionists, but you're just waiting for it at different circumstances. So
They do pray 3 times a day. Bring us back to Zion. It's part of our prayer.
but I don't know. Also, when they celebrate Passover, they will say next year in Rwanda or Argentina.
Probably Jerusalem.
No, probably Jerusalem. So because you know why I'm saying the toughest part? Because some Muslims come to me and say, "Oh, you see, you don't get it. You are brainwashed." I was brainwashed, but why I don't get it? Because there are Jews who are against Israel. And I really want to say to, if they are hearing Jews who are against Israel, I really want to say one thing. And I'm going to say it politely. You are sheep to the slaughter. You are if you ever live under Hamas or under radical Islamists, they will subjugate you and they will eventually kill you as well if you go against their ideas. They don't get it. Take it from someone who was a radicalist. Take it from someone who defended radical Islamist ideology. This is what, and I told him to the Canadian, he was good to me, honestly.
They're very nice guys.
He wanted to convert. He wanted to convert me. He wanted to be anti-Zionist. I said, and I told him the same. I told him, I'm sorry, man. All the prophets in the Tanakh were Yehudis. He went crazy. No, I said, no, I'm sorry. All the, you know, I always say, by the way, I know that Jesus is not like in the Tanakh, but I always say to the Christians who are also non-Zionists, I say, I'm going to accept if you are anti-Zionist, if you tell me the real story of how Jesus lived in the land. If you study, we don't read. We don't educate ourselves. Unfortunately, I talk in the app world. If you really, if you understand how Jesus lived, he was also right-wing. I'll tell you what. Some of my Christian friends, what are you saying? No, give me one proof. I said, I'm not going to give you 10 proofs. I'll give you one proof. All the holidays of the Jewish calendar, Jesus attended, approved. So, there is one holiday that was very recent to Jesus' time that he celebrated or attended. What was that holiday?
Yom Kippur.
No, very recent.
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. What? Okay, so some people. So, Hanukkah is very significant. You know why, Rabbi? I call it the most Zionist festival in the Jewish calendar.
Agreed.
Because it's all about being sovereign on the land, in the land of Israel, against foreign powers. What is the story of Hanukkah? It's not the donuts. Yeah, that's not the candles.
Like, as religious, so every morning in Hanukkah we have a prayer called the Hallel.
Yes, to praise.
This is the most important thing during Hanukkah. That the candles, it's a secondary thing.
I believe, and allow me to criticize you, dear Jews, that you're not celebrating Hanukkah good enough.
But the cracker.
Because Hanukkah is about Yehuda. Yehuda the Maccabi, he refused when Antiochus Epiphanes said, we will get Jupiter, you know Jupiter, the Roman god, who is Zeus in the Greek mythology, we will get him into Beit HaMikdash, the temple. And there were some Jews, even at that time, Yehudim Mityavinim, the Greek Jews, they were like, yeah, why not? Oh, no, let's go.
That's accepted.
They accepted, unfortunately. Yehuda, he said no. Yehuda stood against Antiphus. And the miracle of Hanukkah was orchestrated to was Yehuda the Maccabi. I really tell my Israeli friends and my Jewish friends worldwide, when you celebrate Hanukkah, tell the real story of Yehuda. Tell the real story of the Hasmonean dynasty or the Hasmonean family.
By the way, we're going to have lessons about it. So you're saying your program sending the lessons.
But back to the point. So when Jesus, according to John 10, Gospel of John, verse 10, it says, he ascended to Jerusalem in the days of winter to attend the festival of dedication, which is Hanukkah. Dedication, Hanukkah, same word. And he gave a speech, and he was talking to the Jewish disciples. So the idea that he acknowledged and recognized Hanukkah, it's much more powerful than saying he's Jewish because the Last Supper was Passover Seder. Hanukkah is stronger.
Yes.
This is why.
One of his disciples actually convert and went to Judea.
Yes.
Right? So in that sense, yeah, of course.
So, but Hanukkah is very significant. And many non-Zionist Christians, they feel embarrassed when you say this, by the way, because they say they believe in the replacement theology that Israel is now the church.
Yeah, but it came back from the 60s. So, for example, the Catholic Church, they declined the
Doesn't make
officially, they declined the idea.
When God promises,
Yes.
God is not moody. When God promises, He doesn't change His mind, of course.
So we're talking about the three Abrahamic religions, as we call them. They have many things that are, well, unified. You can find those dots and work with them. But there are also a lot of things that do not align.
Yes.
And therefore, for us, if to take it to a more practical place, what do you think should be the focus of the 1, 2, 3 moments that are uniting us to help us to overcome the things that defy us, the things that putting us away from each other?
That we are all connected to Abraham. That we are all destined to make this our better place. That we, the value of making a family, the value of honoring our neighbors, the common values that really bring us closer. But I think Abraham is the most important. And the second most important value, I believe, is that our heroes are the same, but we need to learn more about them. Our heroes are the same, but we need to learn more about them. That would, in my opinion, make many people believe in the legitimacy of Israel, because the legitimacy of Israel is a big hurdle in this dialogue. Yeah, but what about this? Like you said, I'm not against the Jews, I'm against the Zionists. You see?
It wasn't me, it was the driver.
I know. That's you, and that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But there are values we can focus
Yes.
on. But to me, honestly, the most important value is education. And I'm telling you, most Muslims don't know anything about. You can never. By the way, I met a German professor. He's a Muslim. He wrote a book. I wish I could bring it. He wrote a book in German. He said, without Islam, without Judaism, there is no Islam. His name is Mohammed Khorshid. He's German, of Palestinian origin, and he gave me the version of the book. Without Judaism, there is no Islam. And he explained in the book. He told me that he explained in the book that you can never understand so many parts of the Quran without understanding the Tanakh. So, for example, there is a chapter in the Quran, chapter 2. We call it chapter of cow. The chapter of the second chapter of the Quran is called the Baqarah, for cow. So that chapter talks about that the children of Israel, suddenly, in the middle of the chapter, that the children of Israel asked a prophet, who is Samuel, we want to have a king. So, if you read this verse plainly, without understanding the context, you would say, why? But if you read the Tanakh, and you understand that the children of Israel were ruled by judges, and they were saying, we are surrounded by kingdoms that have kings, Assyria, Egypt, Babylon. We need to have a king to lead the people, not only a judge. This is why Samuel appointed Talut, or who we call Shaul. Saul, exactly. So that's only one example, but there are more examples in the Quran you can never understand without having a fundamental knowledge of the Tanakh.
I think it's true everywhere, because also many people that I even study the Talmud, you cannot really understand the Talmud, or even the Rabbi Maimonides, without the Tanakh, because they wrote it to people who knows the Tanakh by heart. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it's true to everyone.
Of course, the Tanakh is the basis, the foundation that you need to refer to when you have so many things that are not clear.
That's a fundamental truth. So I want to ask, we are witnessing historical moments with Abraham Accords. Something amazing is happening in the
What are they called?
Abraham Accords. Yeah.
You remember when I told you, as President Trump said, Abraham.
Abraham.
So you
Yes.
remember what I told you? The value that Abraham connects us is very important. And this is why when President Trump and his team called it Abraham Accords, they made the right call.
So my question is, how we can bring it to Europe? Because it seems like in Europe we are losing. We are going away from the Abraham Accords in a way. So what can we do here in Europe to bring what is actually working between us there in the Middle East, in Levant? How can we bring it here to Europe?
You don't have to do much to bring it here. You just have to make it work more in the Middle East, because the Abraham Accords are just 4 countries now. Oh, Kazakhstan joined, 5 countries. If Saudi Arabia, inshallah, joins, it will change the dynamics of the Middle East. But I believe that the problem in Europe that is happening, it's not because the Abraham Accords are not working here. It's a bigger problem. It's a problem related to your liberal freedom that is being given to those who misuse it. This is why you have so many radical extremists here who speak against the Jews or who are very anti-Semitic, because they are misusing a liberal freedom that was given to them by this great nation called Germany against other minorities. It's not because of the Abraham Accord, it's because, honestly, some laws here in Germany and in Europe need to be reviewed, in my opinion.
Is there maybe something you would like to say to our fellow Christians, that some of them are being even here in this room? What can we share with them? What can we give for them to strengthen their hands? Because, for example, here in Hanover, so every Shabbat, there is a huge demonstrations against Israel, pro-Palestine, with all the bad mouthing and so on. Even now, even after the ceasefire and everything, it continues. And in front of them, you have 10, 15 people. They're calling themselves Iron Dome Hanover. Iron Dome and Hanover.
Okay.
Right, with the Israeli flags and other flags that they have, and they're standing still like 10 or 15 people against a whole mass of others. So we see that, I'm sure that many of the locals are not holding those thoughts, of those violent thoughts, but maybe we can give them some spirit or some ideas or some encouragement to be more Christians maybe, or to go back to their roots, to their beliefs, maybe to give them more certainty.
One thing I want to tell Christians, if they are among the crowds or if they are listening to me making note of it. Remember that the birthplace of Jesus, Bethlehem, under Israel's control, was 80% Christians, 20% Muslims. Now, 80% Muslims, 20% Christians. I want you to remember that the Jewish state, as old Israel, protected Christian minorities. You will never live as a Christian in the Middle East far better than being part of Israel. Plus, as a Christian, I always remind my Christian friends, and I was speaking in South Africa to a big Christian community, and I told them, if you are really a Christian, I don't want you to defend this government or that government of Israel. It's not about government, it's about the legitimacy of Israel. If you don't defend the legitimacy of Israel, you are not defending a big part of your legitimacy as a Christian. Don't forget, you follow an Israeli Jew who changed a Zionist, who changed the world, really. So I keep reminding my Christian friends of that. But if they are not into faith, I keep reminding them that Israel, Christians were prospering in Israel far better than when PA took control. But there are some incidents. There are some extremist Israelis, some crazy, some people who are just doing many nasty stuff. But this is not the majority.
The majority is fighting them.
Of course. You have racists in every community,
Yes.
and extremists in every community. But when I speak to my Christian friends in different communities in South Africa, Europe, and America, I keep reminding them of the obligation of standing next to Israel, or next to Israel's legitimacy as Christians. This is very important. Not only because it's spiritual, but also because no one would defend you as a Christian like Israel.
That's true.
Especially in the Middle East. And I want to say one thing. I have Arab Israelis, Muslims, who I tell them, I ask you in the name of Allah, if tomorrow there will be a Palestinian state, will you give up your Israeli citizenship? I ask you in the name of Allah. You know what they said? Never. I would never give up my Israeli citizenship. I'm so happy. I have a powerful passport. I travel to Europe without visa. Maybe you don't feel it here because you're Germans. I make good money. I live decent life. I practice my faith without problem in Israel.
People don't.
In the Jewish state.
Yes.
In the Jewish state, that many people don't understand, that it's Jewish state, but not exclusive to Jews. It's a Jewish state that has 2 million Arabs, Muslims. I personally met, the head of the former head of Bank Leumi.
Yes.
He's an Arab Muslim. And I told him, you know his name. I told him, my dear friend, the protocols of the Elders of Zion say that Jews control banks. The Israelis are not doing a good job. The Israelis are not doing a good job. So I keep reminding my Christian friends, but many of them, by the way, haven't visited Israel. Haven't visited Israel. They hear about it from social media, from everything. It's an obligation. Faith-wise, and also standing to the next Christian brothers to stand with Israel. The legitimacy of Israel. You might have arguments with this government, that government, previous government, next government. That's up to the people of Israel to choose. But and this is why I really wish to create a movement called Muslims for Israel. Because I really want to remind my fellow Muslims that a true educated Muslim must stand with the legitimacy of Israel.
That's amazing.
Muslims for Israel. Don't steal the name, please.
Okay, so first of all, again, thank you so much for being here with us. And so we get a few questions in advance. Should we go to those?
Of course, and then maybe we can take other.
Yes. So some of the people who came there sent us their questions in advance. So we'll just find it.
Is this good? Is this? Okay. So I'm sorry.
Could be better.
It's not as good as it can be, right?
I promise you, inshallah, بِعِزْرَةِ Hashem, next year, when I come to Germany, I will speak half German.
We're putting on the spot. We will have this conversation in German.
I pick languages, don't worry. I pick languages quick.
Okay, so one of the questions is this. I think we need to be more visible. I guess it's talking about us as Jews. And what helped me was always absolute transparency when talking with friends that somehow supported anti-Israel positions, and offer them to talk openly. But so he's asking, is it wrong, or is actually to be true that we need to be more visible and more out? To talk more out as Jews here in Europe.
Yes, but don't push it. I want to say one thing. Don't try to speak to those who don't want to listen. I always say it's a waste of time. When I was radical, if someone was pushing me to my limits, no, you're getting it wrong, I want to tell you, I would be more resilient. So I think you need to give people their space. I mean, like, not to go after people. But to speak up in social media, you must. Of course. And Rabbi, you must rely on your non-Jewish allies, Muslims and Christians, and others as well. Non-Jewish allies, because Jews are outnumbered. How many Jews in the world? 15 million. Little. So you need to rely on your non-Jewish allies. You have to speak up speak up in social media, TikTok, Instagram.
Guys, starting tonight, yeah?
Yeah. TikTok, Instagram, and grow your alliances with your non-Jewish friends. I think this is very important, but I don't agree with going after people to try to convince them. Give them their space.
It will become more like being trolled to troll somebody if you go is
Yes, exactly. Give them their space.
yes, completely agree. Second question. Okay, what do you see as a realistic scenario for the Middle East for in the 5 to 10 years?
My personal opinion. So this is my personal opinion. I believe a sustained solution for the Palestinians could be not a state. A state is not reasonable, is not feasible, especially after October 2nd.
People do not know the geography of Israel. People really do not understand how it looks and the size of it.
You know, when I first went to Israel, I was having a telephone call with a friend of mine from Misrata Quds. Her name is Noga. She's amazing. She's lovely. And I said, she told me we will be in this part of Jerusalem that is called West Jerusalem.
Yes.
And then we'll go to East Jerusalem. And then when I met with her, I said, where is East Jerusalem? Ah, it's there. Now we're in West Jerusalem. I said, 200 meters? This is like, it's so small. So people don't understand the real size. But I always say, a Palestinian state is not the right solution now. And when I speak this to some Arab leaders, they say, what is the solution then? I said, after October 7, you cannot talk about the Palestine, because even the Israelis who were very, very, very Spolanim, very left-wing, they were murdered on October 7.
The first one to be.
The first one to be, exactly. So, the solution could be the United Palestinian Emirates. What does that mean? Emirates led by Palestinian tribe leaders in some areas, in the areas controlled by the Palestinians.
You know probably Dr. Moderator. It's a thing that is pushing for a while. Yeah.
I took it from Mordechai.
Okay. You got it.
But I say it publicly.
Yes, yes.
But because I believe it's the most feasible solution.
I'm happy to hear it from you because Mordechai Keda, I love him. And we talk once in a while.
He's a great scholar.
Yes, but he's still a religious Jew. And this is why it was important for me that you say it, so it means that you see that his idea is actually a working solution.
Don't forget, this idea worked somewhere else. You know where? United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
What is the United Arab Emirates? It's a country comprised of 7 emirates. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Al-Kuwait, Fujairah. Each emirate had a tribe leader. And then they decided, since they're all were capable of governing their people, they decided to unify. This is why the word ittihad, but you see, Ittihad Airlines, Ittihad means unification or unity. So they decided to come into a unification, and the leader was Abu Dhabi. This is why Abu Dhabi is the Habira. It's like the capital of the United Arab Emirates. I believe this would be an example for the Palestinians. Start with this, and then let's see, and start, you know where? In the beginning, in Gaza. Start in Gaza, make some emirates, and then if you are capable to have a leadership that is ready to accept Israel as a Jewish state, will never teach your children to hate, will never wage endless wars against Israel, then maybe we can talk about the next step. But for the next 10 years, United Palestinian Emirates. I think it's the most feasible way.
Couldn't agree more.
But a state, no. And I want to praise an Arab leader who was so smart in dealing with Israel, Anwar Sadat, the Egyptian president who made peace with Israel. My dad used to tell me, in his time, there were 35,000 Israelis in Sinai, living in Sinai. When Sadat was offered the Camp David agreement, you know what Sadat said? It's my only opportunity. If I lose it, I will lose it forever. My dad told me, Loay, if Saddam refused and the Israelis became, rather than 35,000 in Sinai, 200,000, I will say, don't get them out. It's too late. It's too late. The greatest opportunity for a two-state solution, in my opinion, was in 2000. Barak-Clinton deal that Arafat walked away from. By the way, I want to tell you one thing. I want you to read the book, My Life with Bill Clinton. You know why Arafat, among many reasons why he walked away from this? Because of this knowledge that I told you. You remember what I told you, Muslims lack knowledge? Unfortunately, which is strong Muslim saying is, Arafat, in the book, Arafat told Clinton, Mr. President, I cannot sign on this deal because I don't recognize a Jewish temple. Jews didn't have temple in Jerusalem. You know, if someone says this today, what would I tell them? Don't go to Israel. I'll buy you a ticket. You know where? Rome. Go to Rome, next to the Colosseum. There is an arch of Titus, a Roman emperor, where he bragged about defeating the Jews
And robbing
their spoils of war, picturing them, the Roman soldiers carrying a menorah.
Yes.
Where did that menorah come from? Where did that menorah come from? From the temple. And we don't talk about this. So Arafat said, I don't believe in, and I'm not going to sign that. Of course, he had other reasons.
Yes.
But my point is that the opportunity for a two-state solution was lost forever, to my opinion. The official stance of the UAE, of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, of many Arab states, there has to be a that. Yeah, I'm just, you know, when I meet many Arab officials in the Middle East, I call them with all due respect, not going to work. Not going to work. You want me to promote a solution that I don't believe in? Not going to work. I believe in Mordechai Fidan's solution. I believe it's very feasible. Start small. Because don't forget, Gaza was supposed to be, and I mentioned it in one of my videos when I talk about that Israel unilaterally left Gaza in 2005.
I was in Garmi and the idea of them.
Yes. So in the summer of 2005, Ariel Sharon dismantled all the settlements. Gaza was supposed to be a prelude to a Palestinian state. So now to talk about this, not going to work, not going to work. Let's talk about, so you're talking about 5 to 10 years. Palestinian Emirates. Or, I'm just saying there is no other solution. There is no other solution.
Thank you. Maybe some questions from the crowd? Yeah?
Of course.
Slightly
In English, please.
Yes.
I don't speak German.
Because I see how they.
Not yet.
The
I see how they.
translation is like faulty. There are like.
It's okay.
It's okay, but the
AI.
Put in work for you. To,
That's fine.
yeah.
Guys,
at least we learn. Please learn.
Yes, please. If you can say, no, you can stand, just say your name and a question. Yes.
Hi, thank you for being here. I have two questions. One of them is, you mentioned that there were some German laws you'd like to have a review. Which exactly would that be?
Okay. So the first law, I don't want to intervene in the German domestic things, but I say, generally speaking, okay, laws that don't differentiate between freedom of speech and incitement. I believe that the legislations here in Germany and in the US and elsewhere should differentiate between freedom of speech and incitement. And they should outlaw many chants in Germany by the pro-Hamas supporters that are genocidal. By law, from the river to the sea, Khaybar, Khaybar, ya Yahoo.
People do not know the story.
People do not know anything about this. And you have some Jews marching into it, unfortunately, and calling for repeating all of this, and some You know what really bothers me? When I see a white German Gen Z supporting Hamas, calling them freedom fighters. They don't know Islam. They don't know radical Islam. They don't know what Hamas really wants. And the most importantly, they don't know that they are next if these people take control. And honestly, some videos that I see in Germany, I see, please Germany, wake up. But I think Germany is waking up because a week ago in Hamburg, there was an Islamist cell. There was an Islam school, was confiscated by the German police. So kudos to the German police. When they are suddenly they are, alhamdulillah, they are waking up. Because these people are very dangerous. We know them very well. You know, the foreign minister of the UAE 7 years ago, he said there will be so many radicals coming out, not from the Middle East, from Europe. And you know, many radical Islamists were kicked out from the Middle East. Guess where they go? Berlin, Hamburg, Washington, London. And by the way, when I was in Hamburg 2 days ago, don't forget, Hamburg was one of the German cities. The two terrorists of September 11 were indoctrinated in a mosque in Hamburg. In a mosque, not in Saudi. Of course, there were, but in a mosque, not in Saudi or the UAE or Egypt. In a mosque in Germany, in Hamburg. It's called the Hamburg cell. I'm just saying this because some people may forget or may have forgotten. So, I believe Germany should, I don't want to say should, impolite, but I believe many countries should revise their policies because you are giving too much freedom. It's okay, it's fine, but you have to watch out. There are people who are misusing it against you, and this is very unfortunate. Back to your question, I will add one more thing. There was a very, very viral video, went so viral in the Arab social media, of a German, of an immigrant from one of the Arab lands that faced war in the past 10 years. He came to Germany, he became a German citizen. And when he was asked in Arabic, he didn't answer in German. When he was asked in Arabic, how do you feel being a German citizen? You know what he said? This video went viral. I can share it with the Rabbi. I don't believe in German values. I don't believe in... I want to have the benefits. Wallah, he was so clear. He wanted to have the benefits. Where are the laws of back check, citizenship tests? What are these laws? He doesn't feel grateful. And honestly, I know also Arabs who became Germans. They are very grateful. They told me, I'm not Syrian, I'm German. I feel so proud of being a part of this nation. So there are also good people, but I'm just saying, but this person and people like him, they are causing lots of trouble. And there has to be some sort of, if I was the Prime Minister of Germany, or the Minister of Interior, I would just call him in my office and say, if you're not happy with Germany, go back to Syria. Honestly.
I have to share that.
But you know, many politicians, you know what they tell me when I tell them this? Especially the European politicians. They tell me, Loay, I would rather die than being called a racist. I tell them, with all due respect, sir, you might die in a very hard way otherwise.
I have to say that, for example, so there are some Muslims here, for example, there's one Turkish guy, my wife is teaching him Hebrew every time they meet in the store.
Okay.
In that sense, right? Or there is a Pashtun.
There are good examples.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Or there is a Pashtuni that came, you're a Jew. Kippah, mezuzah, we are brothers.
Yes.
You know, so
Yeah, you have good examples, of
Yes,
course.
yes.
But I know many people, honestly, especially friends of mine, they are so, and they should be proud of Germany is, you know, in the Arab world. I used to work in a German Saudi company called Siemens, if you don't know it, medical equipment. You know, your country's reputation in the Arab world that it's disciplined, they working like machines, very successful, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen. I mean, what I want to say is it's a great nation. And if you hold a citizenship of this nation, you should be super proud. Not that ungrateful.
Tzvi Kelly is showing it in Europe in many, he have few projects in Europe and in the States. He shows that some of the Muslims that would come, then just come, as you said, for the benefits, but only if you talk in Arabic, you will know the truth. Otherwise, it's...
But I want to say there are also many I know who became German citizens who are very... You know, one of them is Rawan Osman.
Yes.
Rawan Osman,
Yes.
she was also a
She's
Jewish.
amazing.
She's amazing. She's so proud.
From Syria, right?
From Syria.
Yes.
And when she goes to conferences, she represents Germany. She says, I'm proud German.
Yes.
So you have good people.
Yes.
But unfortunately, some people are not... well, I say, how could you not be proud of being German? Unbelievable.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Of course.
How would you say can Muslim people be more integrated with this animation? Like, what's the way? How can you reach a Muslim and explain to
The
them
tough way.
how to...
The tough way. You should tell them that these are our values as Germans. If you want to live in our country, you have to integrate and keep our values. Do not change our core values. But you are giving them laws. Unfortunately, that would allow them to change some values. And listen, if I was the Minister of Interior and I see a group of people trying to convince my society that the laws they escaped from are going to work in my country, I would tell them, then why did you escape from your countries? If they were functional, why are you bringing it to me? I would, because I will never feel ashamed of being an Islamophobe and I'm a Muslim. I would tell them you have to integrate in the German society while respecting German values. And if you don't respect it by politeness, you will respect it by law. By law. Do it. Or else, no, I don't want to be called Islamophobe. I don't want to be called racist. Okay, it will backfire. Why many of those Germans, of Arab or of German Arabs, when they come to Dubai or Saudi Arabia, they behave? Why? They have laws. So this is what I want to say to.
I mean, there are laws that you can't speak badly about the country you live in as an influencer, right? It's the laws and...
So where's the enforcement? What is there is also a problem in law enforcement. I don't want to get into German politics because I really love this country, but I'm just saying overall, general ideas.
Okay, may I ask my...
If somebody else can, yeah. If you can give the mic. Yeah.
Thank you first very, very much for coming to Hanover. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
My best friend is a Turk whose family originally comes from Syria.
Okay.
And he told me he's a minority religion in Syria, that's why they had to flee. And for many generations they lived in Turkey, and he feels Turkish most of the time. He came as a child to Germany, working class family, whatever. And now he became very Muslim. So he became that was like suppressing his ancestors before. He became one of the people that basically, like would force them out 200 years ago, 150 years ago. And we were discussing all these topics because, it's like a Muslim and a Jew. Very funny. And we came across this topic of Khaybar that you already mentioned. And for us Jews, we have our view on it. And I think this was like something that we couldn't agree on, like what perspective to give it. So I'm asking, for him it was just like the Jews betrayed the Jews had this agreement, the Jews, you know, they're not sincere basically, so like according to Quranic sources and so on and so on. And I was like, no, there was nothing. They were in a union, you know, they were in a union with another tribe, and they defended that tribe basically. That's how I understand it. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this part?
I don't think Khaybar ever happened. I'll tell you why. First of all, even if there are Jews who betrayed a certain treaty, you should never kill 700 people. It's insanely crazy. Now, why I don't think that Khaybar happened? Because Jews wouldn't have missed it. Wouldn't have missed writing about it. Not a single Jew wrote about Khaybar.
We know it only from Muslim.
But Rambam, Sa'adi Gaon, never talked about it.
No.
If a massacre of this size happened to the most literate nation on this earth that writes and records every single incident, that means there's something fishy in it. So I believe that story was demonstrated, or that was presented. By the way, it's not in the Quran, it's in the Hadith. The narratives attributed to Prophet Muhammad. Let me tell you this. You know the narratives attributed to Prophet Muhammad, when they were started to be written? 200 years after Prophet Muhammad. 200 years after Prophet Muhammad, the narratives were started to be written. So, that incident, we think that many Jews, the Jews of the 7th century only lived in Arabia. You know, I shocked my Muslim friends. Jews in Italy at that time, were more than the Jews in Arabia.
Yes.
Jews in Babylonia, modern-day Iraq, Jews in Israel, Jews in Egypt were far more than Jews in Arabia. How many of them were in Arabia? 15,000, 20,000 maximum. So, I don't really believe that this story ever happened. But the story, some historians wrote it as a show of power, that you see what we did to the Jews. But it's disgusting, it's absolutely horrendous, and it's pure terrorism, and we should call it out. We should have Muslims, reformists, who would have the courage to say this, because it's absolutely crazy and madness to massacre 700 people in one day, because one or two people just really did something wrong. So I always say, there were incidents before that incident, in the 4th century, in the 3rd century, in the 2nd century, in the 1st century, committed many places around the Middle East, and they were recorded. Not a single historian wrote about this. Sa'adi Gaon was the first Jewish rabbi who translated the Torah into Arabic. And by the way, his translation, in my opinion, is the best. Better than Van Dyck, or better than many translations other. He wrote many things about criticizing Islam. Never mentioned this. You know, early Jews, when they criticized Islam, they criticized Islam because Islam came as a replacement to our faith that we cannot change. You cannot tell me you should not keep Shabbat. I'm always taught to keep Shabbat. You should never tell me leave the Torah and follow another law. We have our law. Many Jewish scholars in the 7th or 8th century, they said Islam is good, but for Arabs, not for me. Not for me. So, but even those who criticized Prophet Muhammad, none of them mentioned he was a killer, he killed 700 of my people. None. Because these narratives were not known to them. These narratives appeared. Just imagine that the narratives attributed to Prophet Muhammad were written 200 years after his death. How will you know what is right and what is wrong? We have scholars who say, we can track. Yeah, but how hard you can track, you still have flaws. So,
My teacher, Rabbi Uwishelki, which is working very closely with dear friends, Muslim friends, in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE. So he's talking about the idea that to talk with sages of Islam today, to, as you said, some reforms with that per se. What you say now,
Of course, but I'm not a scholar. I'm not
not yet.
not yet. I'm not a religious authority.
Yes.
But I'm just saying it's the role of religious authorities to just think a bit, just use your mind. How to say this? Not a single Jewish scholar in the 7th, 8th, or 9th century ever talked about Khaybar. Ever talked about Khaybar.
There was one more question here. Can we pass the mic, please?
But tell your friend about how the narratives were written and how no Jewish scholar ever talked about it. And those who later talked about it, they refer to what? Islamic sources.
Yes.
First, thank you very much. I've got one question. Einhard Wolf, and in Einhard Wolf's opinion, the biggest problem is the right of return from and the Palestinians believe in. Do you think that there's the possibility that Arabic leader will say that there's no possibility for all the Palestinian refugees registered by UNRWA that they came back?
Of course, I agree that there will be no right of return. It doesn't make any sense to have refugees forever, and you just like you. If you believe in the right of return, you have to believe in the right of return of the Jews to the Arab lands that they were kicked out from. I know many Jewish friends living in, by the way, I have a Jewish friend. His grandfather was kicked from Egypt. You know where he lives? Not in Israel. He lives in Montreal, Canada. He's a very funny guy. I love him so much. He said that when my grandfather left Egypt, imagine that Abdel Nasser at that time, true dictator, he sent the Jews a letter that you have 72 hours to evacuate, and they were Egyptian citizens. You know where they left? He told me my grandfather did not leave to Israel. That was after 1948. Because he didn't really believe that he really loved Egypt. He left to France. And from France he went to Canada. He said, even those who are not Zionists, or not, I don't want to say Zion, but they didn't believe and they have to go to Israel. They went other places. He cannot go to Egypt. So where is his right of return? Why people in the Arab world, I'm not talking about the 800,000 Jews who left Arab lands, of the right of return? Why is it only one way? Either it goes two ways, but I'm just telling you. I'm just saying that the right of return of the Palestinians who live there can never happen. Even to the new Emirates. We should close this matter for good. Or else we will just create a dilemma that is perplexed, will never be solved. And I agree with Inakot. I really love what she says. She's a very
She was also starting the left. In this, the Israeli left. She was very lefty.
I know.
Yeah? And she changed a lot more.
Many Israelis after October 7 became different, and I believe it's one of the effects that Sinwar didn't have in mind. And yeah, but so for the right position doesn't make sense. It doesn't really make sense. I always tell those who say so, I say you can never be refugee for good. People move on.
One more question or
Two more questions.
two more questions?
Two more questions.
Okay.
And then
Madeline and then
Also, a big thank you, and I really appreciate you staying here. Just a personal feeling that the propaganda on social media and worldwide in the news and the journalism is taking over on like being pro-Hamas or being pro-very radical. And I often feel that the other view isn't getting much attention. What's your opinion on how to support people more in media and journalism or social media to have like to even it out a little bit, that the world is not getting swamped over with all the radical?
by what the Rabbi said, speaking up more, grow your alliances, and not only speaking up more and grow your alliances, but also you should never be afraid of telling the truth about what's happening in the region. many Jews are afraid, especially in campuses in the U.S. and stuff. They are very
Also here.
also here, very intimidated. But if you are intimidated for good, then you're going to help the other narrative to rule over you. So, and this is why we are standing. I wanted to send a message that we have your back. We have your back, and we are going to stand for you, and we need to do it together. But if you choose to remain silent, this is something. But I want to say one thing also to answer your question. Please don't focus on legacy media. Legacy media is dying. People are getting their information not from newspapers, from TikTok, from Instagram, from LinkedIn, from Facebook. You have to be super active there. You have to be super active.
I should open a TikTok as well.
You should open a TikTok. I met a rabbi. When I met a rabbi in Hamburg, he opened his account, and it's and I was so happy to make a push for him. But of course, you cannot be absent in this row, in my opinion.
Last question?
No, there's a question here in the first row, and then,
Okay.
and then we can take the gentleman.
Okay, I have two questions, but it's okay if I also want to ask one. Let me choose which. Okay, so I recently saw like an interview of some guy in a very similar story to yours. So he grew up in a Muslim household in the UK, but his family is from Pakistan. And so when he talked about who he was raised, he said he was from a very loving family, and he was taught to love everyone, even Christians, even other people, besides Jews. Like, it was always love everyone, love your neighbor, everyone besides Jews. Why do you think it is that there's like such a separation where even in like religious households, it's preached to love other, like the other Abrahamic religions like Christianity, but it's such a cut except Jews, it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, and your second question, so I can answer them.
So my second question, it's not related to that, it's more related to Israel. What do you think of instead of a two-state solution, a one-state solution with equal rights for everyone?
No. One-state solution will destroy Israel. And I just said the Emirates, like Israel should always remain as a Jewish state. If you create one-state solution and they will outnumber you, mashallah. They have 5 kids every day, and then it's not going to be a Jewish state. So I don't agree with a one-state solution at all. I think it's suicidal to Israel. One state is not
Even the left in Israel, they are against.
Yes. So the United Emirates, United Palestinian Emirates. Now, for your first question, I believe it's related to the roots of anti-Semitism. That is, in my opinion, 2 reasons. Famous. Christian anti-Semitism and Islamic anti-Semitism. Christian anti-Semitism started with the narrative that Jews killed Jesus, who was also Jewish. They dropped this part. Islamic anti-Semitism is that Jews are those who rejected Prophet Muhammad, and I want to say one thing. I'll be very honest with you as a religious Muslim. I believe that the Prophet attitude toward Jews really changed when they said no. Like Martin Luther. You know the story of Martin Luther? Martin Luther started very pro-Jewish, and then things changed. Because Jews have the authority. They are the people of the book. So everyone wants to win them over if they have a reform or a new movement. And I believe that the Prophet wanted to win the Jews over. But the thing that I don't understand is that the Jews could align with the Prophet if his message was not overriding their message. Because, as I said, Jews in the 7th or 8th century, when they were answering Islam, they said, I cannot accept a faith that is telling me no more Shabbat. Because the Torah said, this is the sign between me and the children of Israel forever, that God created heavens and the earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day God rested, so honor your Shabbat. This is an eternal covenant. So those Jews who rejected Islam really offered
very scientific points of views that are very to be considered. So the idea that Christian anti-Semitism and Islamic anti-Semitism, they pictured the Jews as the enemy because the Jews are the first people of the book, the people of authority, and they wanted to win them over. And when they failed, they flipped on them. This is the real reason that no one's going to tell you. But it is the true reason. The second reason is that Jews are the most successful minority. I read a book by a German author, and I'm so sorry if it's like a very sensitive topic. Please stop me if it is. He said that Hitler. Thanks, Vic. Together.
The best jokes we have are black jokes.
No, because he told me that it's a very sensitive topic in Germany. That Hitler was after their funds because they were very successful in businesses in Europe in the 40s. So these are the real reasons. Because Jews rejected some individuals throughout history, that rather than debating them, the easiest solution is to outcast them and making them as enemies. This is the real reason. And this is why if you trace in Russia, in Tsar's Russia, the book of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion started there.
Yes.
And it came to the Arab world. And I'm really sorry to say this, I was a big fan of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Because you know why? There's an Egyptian TV show called A Night Without a Horse, A Night with a K. It's still on YouTube if you write A Night Without a Horse. It's a very evil TV show. It took part of history, which is factual, and added some spices. So the part of history that is factual is that the English invaded Egypt, right? Of course. But you know why? Because the English were received by the elders of Zion. So, God damn the Jews, man. God, those Jews are the enemies of Egypt and of Islam and of the Arabs. Yeah, true. Please, when you leave this, write on YouTube, Night Without a Horse, Faris Bila Jawad. And someone published some of the episodes translated, but you will be mind blown. That was in 2002. It was 18. It was one of my favorite shows because it was very well directed, very well sponsored, and it talks about and where did the Protocols of Zion start? Russia. As sarcasm.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but eventually many people believe it. So this is the reason. Jews are the people authority that many people wanted to win them over, and when they failed, they flipped on them and they bashed them.
The last question, right? In the back?
Yes. Okay.
Shalom, thank you for coming here. I have a question. You said there's a big problem in Germany that they're not defending their core values, and the Islamists can do whatever they want. They have too many freedoms. But I spoke with a lot of students, and their core values are open borders, abortion, socialism, LGBTQ, fighting against global warming, and some kind of stuff. And I want to ask, what do you think about, what is your message to people who believe this nonsense?
My message to them is that, especially the LGBTQ community, survive a day under Hamas in Gaza, and I will join you. Survive a day under Hamas in Gaza, and I will join your movement against Israel. These are chicken for KFC, really. Those who support all of these values, they never understand that the model that Hamas created, or the model that they are supporting, is taking them into slaughter. My message to them, listen to Arabs and Muslims who defeated radical Islamist ideology. We are the credible sources that are telling you the truth for your own safety and for your own sake. We don't want anything from you. We don't want Germany. We don't want anything, but we want to tell you the truth because we see you as naive.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There would be a second session, please,
Inshallah.
because there's so much to discuss, and that's just a beautiful picture. Please,
Thank you.
beg of you.
If you're not following yet, Loay, do it right now, right in a minute, and to spread the word, because it helps. Every click, every like, and so on, it helps. Write yourself. If you're not here, you write yourself. Help and support those who do the job. And I thank you so much. I hope that we'll be able to bring you more and more. You just need to know that people that ask me from Switzerland, from hey, hold on, but how you manage to bring we want to also say, okay, next time. So there is a waiting list for
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And as well as you do it for us, if I can be any help, if I can be any assistance, please.
The only help that I want, honestly, help us and help many people like me to amplify the voice. This is what we want. We don't want anything else. Thank God we are living a good life.
Yes.
Baruch Hashem. I'm rich, thank God. So I'm not after your money. No, really, thank God. But we want to have our voices amplified. So thank you for giving me the podium, and thank to our friend Tanya. And thank you all for coming. This really means a lot. And after Germany, I'm leaving to a big tour, inshallah, in the United States. Bezrat Hashem.
New York?
No, I'm going to Ohio. Sorry. The Ohio State University. And yes, I'm going to New York, Rutgers. And I'm going to Los Angeles. And then Abu Dhabi. And then I'm going to speak in a very big conference called Mayors Against Anti-Semitism. I wish Mr. Rondani will attend.
It's very funny because I was sure somebody would ask about him. Nobody asked.
I'm going to speak in Mayors Against Anti-Semitism in Louisiana on December 2nd in front of 200 mayors. I'm going to point a very important message that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. And I'm an Arab from Muslim standing with Israel without having shame. Because Mondani said, I'm Muslim and I'm not going to apologize for it. And I'm going to say, I'm an Arab Muslim standing with Israel, and I'm going to apologize.
Right. Thank you so much. Спасибо большое.